If I asked a random gamer what the first ever platform fighter was, there's a 99% chance they'd say Smash 64. And honestly, I wouldn't say that answer is wrong, even though it is kinda wrong. The discussions on when the foundations for a genre were truly cemented usually start with whatever landmark title fully realized the ideas that other games laid out beforehand. But defining genres is always messy though, and I'm not gonna be the guy who's gonna die on the hill claiming that Smash Bros wouldn't exist without Joust. But there is a platform fighter that came out almost 4 years before Smash 64 that I do believe deserves its flowers for being way ahead of its time and just for being really cool. Enter Namco's arcade treasure, the Outfoxies. Released in Japanese arcades at the beginning of 1995, the Outfoxies is a crazy 1v1 2D fighter that pits insane characters into wild multi-tiered stages where they have to fight with weapons sprinkled across the map, while also avoiding hazards and trying their best not to get knocked off the stage. You seeing the connection now? And it doesn't just stop at Smash, cause I think the DNA for minigames can be found in this title. But I'll stop with the comparisons, and let the Outfoxy speak for its own completely ridiculous self. The plot centers around a mysterious man named Mr. Acme, who hires 7 assassins to kill 7 different art collectors. And then after those assassinations have been carried out, Mr. Acme then has those 7 different assassins go out and kill each other until there's only one left, so he doesn't have to pay them all. So your arcade run for the Outfoxies has you choosing a hired killer and straight up murdering 6 other people until you can stroll up to Mr. Acme's house to collect your paycheck. And I hate to say it, but a bunch of dudes going around trying to kill each other for a bag is a breath of fresh air compared to the many world fighting tournaments this genre loves to have for its setting. Our first 2 assassins are the quintessential but basic 80s action hero types, starting with John Smith, who would apparently do anything for money, from babysitting to starting a revolution. And then there's Betty Doe, who is a hit woman turned super successful business entrepreneur, but needs more money to fund new ventures. Next we have Bernard White, who is a bioengineer with super strength, has a steel hand, and is just huge. Then there's Eve, who's a washed up actress who became a master thief alongside her pet iguana who follows her everywhere. Until he gets lost. Aww. And now we start getting super ridiculous with Professor Ching, who is a kung fu master scientist who has been handicapped and sits in a crazy robot arm rocket boosting wheelchair. A literal suit wearing chimpanzee named Dweeb is the next assassin, and not only does he kill for bananas, he's also the kidnapped son of a famous chimp named Mr. Happy, who is apparently the most intelligent chimpanzee in the world. Yeah, none of this comes up later. And finally, we have a pair of twins as our last assassins, and they work strictly as a team. Their names are Danny and Demi, and they're also children who used to be conjoined twins until they got into a train accident that separated them. So yeah, not only is the Outfoxies a game about doing wacky homicides, the murder also doesn't discriminate against animals and literal children. Scary children, but still kids. And all of this is played up in a way that isn't taken too seriously, because the game knows that it's gonzo, and that's where the charm comes in. It's the little things like how after every successful kill, each character has a unique animation where they mark their opponent dead for Mr. Acme. John slaps a done sign on a TV showing his late target, Betty turns the TV off, Bernard straight up punches the screen, Eve shoots the screen, Professor Ching types out disposed, Dweeb just changes the channel to a children's show, and finally, the twins scribble on the screen with crayons. I just love this so much. But let's get deeper into the actual gameplay. So after you choose your murdering freak of choice, you get thrown into a deathmatch that takes place in one of 7 vastly different stages. There's a skyscraper, an aquarium, a circus, a factory, a yacht, a train, and even a plane. What makes these stages so cool though, is that they're honestly really intricate and really just characters of their own. Take the skyscraper, which starts you off near the roof fighting under a helipad, and at the start of the fight, your opponent lights a fuse that will eventually blow up the ceiling holding the helicopter. which then causes it to fall down and break all the floors underneath, revealing an entire restaurant section to keep the battle going on in. And the helicopter just keeps falling and destroying the floors until it drags you to the bottom floor, which throws you into a shark tank. As you can see, these stages can get a little wild, and they are huge. Look at the scaling of the sprites, it's honestly ridiculous. Honestly, these stages are more like set pieces on their own, because they tell a story and they're changing in ways that are just really cool and unlike anything else in the arcades at the time. Now, playing the game itself is very simple, because there's only two buttons, a jump and an attack. Every character plays a little differently in how they traverse and fight, with characters like Dwee being fast, small, and hard to shoot, but obviously doesn't hit as hard as the hulking Bernard does, with Bernard's caveat of course being that he's so huge, and a bit awkward when he moves. There's even weird character specific stuff like Professor Ching being able to block bullets with the back of his chair, but that doesn't matter when someone is shooting rockets at you, so let's go over the weapons. You got pistols, swords, whips, grenades, and even hot soup. But like you're playing some Halo, everyone wants the rocket launcher, even if it kills them. The game does feel very differently than you would expect though, as it's more akin to Rolling Thunder and elevator action returns than your average platformer or fighter, and that's no accident. The Outfoxies was headed by Masateru Umeda, who originally wanted to direct movies, but ended up finding themselves in the games industry instead. Umeda initially wanted to translate his love of film to an arcade platformer action game that would make the player feel as if they are in the center of a blockbuster 80s action flick, like a combination of Another World with Die Hard. But the economics of arcades at the time demanded more fighting games. This was an issue, not only because it was not the kind of game that Umeda wanted to work on, but he also didn't like traditional fighters in the first place. So he met the project in the middle, which of course led to both the uniqueness and ridiculousness of the Outfoxies. There's a great English interview with Umeda by Most Vertical Productions that I definitely check out, cause he seems like a really cool dude. After the Outfoxies, he went on to make the infamous arcade puzzle game Dancing Guys, which I had to bring up cause I don't think I'll have another chance to ever mention Dancing Guys on this channel. Anyways, I think the Outfoxies' balls to the wall 80s Hollywood action aesthetic, but from a Japanese perspective, is obviously its strongest factor, cause the game oozes charisma in so many ways. But sadly, it might have been its downfall as well. The Outfoxies wasn't a big hit, and I wonder if general Japanese audiences at the time just weren't perceptive to the Western cliches on display. I mean, the arcades at the time were being run by this dude, so can you blame them? But it does make me sad that the Outfoxies never officially came to the West, because I feel like it would have had a better shot at popularity. But the true nail in the coffin is probably the fact that it never got a port, and still hasn't. On the bright side though, the Outfoxies has become a cult classic, and it's been awarded the moniker of being the grandfather of Smash Bros to many. I do have faith we'll see a port for it at some point, because we know Namco hasn't forgotten about it completely, because there's a damn Outfoxies t-shirt in Travis Strikes Again. But in the meantime, let's finally get our money from Mr. Acme. So after killing everyone, we get to Mr. Acme's mansion, and he tries dropping a chandelier on us and tries to send out dogs to kill us. So we gotta play Tom and Jerry in this dude's house until we chase him all the way up to the top, where it's revealed that Mrs. Acme was behind all of this, for some reason.
I am Acme's wife. As we promised, we shall pay you
Right now.
We have another epic chase that ends in a helicopter battle. And yeah, they die. Hard. Everyone has a unique ending once they get their money, with John living the rich life, Betty opening a burger shop, Bernard hanging with his family, Eve getting her iguana girlfriend, Ching creating an android, Dweeb goes to the strip club, and of course, the twins just commit more murder. Yeah, put these kids in Smash please. Thanks.